Welcome back to Identiverse 2025, reporting here for Cyber TV from the expo floor in the Mandalay Bay Conference Center. And Jackie, once again, with me to wrap up the show.
Yes.
How was the show for you?
It was great. You know, I was excited to come to Identiverse because I think identity is kind of one of the pressing topics right now, and that we were just, talking to Tina from Badge, and we live in kind of this weird post-privacy world where all of our data's out there. So seeing how different vendors are trying to tackle that problem of like, how do you figure out who's using their own data, who's using stolen data? It's just really interesting to see all of the different approaches to it, and also how people are choosing to talk about it. You know, there's always like the
language, the
buzzwords. Are
you
you fear mongering? Are you like trying to convince people they're living on the cutting edge? Or there's always different ways to market. So that's always one of the things I like.
Comic books, I've noticed there's some comic book marketing is a thing now.
Yeah.
It used to be like the dummies books.
Yeah.
Remember that went on for a while.
Yeah, we got some really cute comic books from ThreatLocker when we did Zero Trust World as well. I brought those home for my kids and they were super excited.
Yeah, and it's it really is, wrapping up that conversation with Tina. I do feel a little bit of whiplash of things. Like, without my password manager, I would be completely lost. Like, that is the center of all my stuff because I'm constantly testing things out. I probably add at least 5 to 10 new accounts every week to my password manager, constantly trying out new stuff. People are giving me access to alpha and beta products of security products, and then just new consumer stuff coming out, like when ChatGPT came out, and all of a sudden there were thousands of derivative products built on top of it. Yeah. I was testing out a bunch of that stuff. So
I assume you use the suggested strong keys when you
I don't know any of my passwords.
Okay, and so I've started doing the same thing, but as I think we were talking about earlier in the news about Google changing up the way that they're handling it. One of the issues I have is that I do that now. I use the strong passwords, and it is not reliably syncing across my Chrome browsers, and so same like
you're using the built-in Chrome?
Yeah, so I'm using the Google Password Manager, and perhaps that is where I'm going wrong, and that I should be using a third-party password manager. Because it's on my phone, it's a little bit more reliable, but there will be several times that I have to open something on my phone because that password manager is actually different than the one in Chrome. And I don't know, it's just, I feel like as far as we've come and as much technology as we have, this is a problem that should not be a problem anymore.
So full disclosure, 1Password is a sponsor of the show. They do some stuff with CRA. But I've been a customer for over a decade, and I've used a lot of different, I think I've used all the major password managers at this point. And there are a lot of other ones that are lovely as well. But that's the one I've kind of locked into, and it's actually pretty easy to switch password managers. Mm-hmm. Like, all of them have done a really good job of, you have to be very careful because you're exporting all your passwords in plain text. And you want to make sure you scrub that file real good once you get it imported into the other one. But it's, for me, it's absolutely essential. And it's interesting as we're adding passkeys to the mix, and it's no longer just storing the passwords, but also some of these, like I use it for TOTP. For generating those 6-digit codes, automatically enters those for me. I know some people intentionally keep those separate. But with as much as I'm logging into stuff every day, I'm going the convenience route. And hoping for the best.
We're making the same mistake that we absolutely grill companies for making, right? Is that like, we would have had better security, but it was hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
No, and we were just talking about this a couple days ago here, is the other thing that I hate is that endpoint detection for mobile devices is almost non-existent, right? And so thinking about, all right, at some point maybe my phone's going to get compromised and my password manager is going to get popped, and how annoying it is that there's so few ways to really adequately monitor your mobile devices for compromise if you're not using an enterprise device. With an enterprise device, it's great. There's plenty of mobile EDR platforms, but for my personal, I would love, if anybody wants to sponsor the podcast who has a really, really effective EDR for personal mobile devices,
Yeah, I mean, there are, so Fleet DM, you should be able to use Fleet DM for free. And that might give you, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for from like an EDR perspective, but most mobile MDM have some good monitoring capabilities. For a long time, I used Cisco Meraki with all the home stuff because they had a free option. But it hasn't been updated in forever. It's the UX is ancient. It's missing a bunch of features now.
Well, now I'm going to have tool sprawl because I've got Sophos on my MacBook, right? So then I'm going to have something else. I don't know.
There is some stuff out there though. If I didn't mention before, I try everything out. So I know some of that stuff. Also, a good friend of mine and sometimes co-host on the show, Guillaume Ross, used to work at Fleet.
Oh, okay.
Fleet DM. So that's one of the reasons I'm aware of their solution.
Well, now everybody's going to know what my EDR is.
But I think, one of the lovely things that happen on mobile devices is they don't really need additional security that much. I mean, social engineering still works. That's how we're seeing info stealers get on Macs. It's not because Macs don't have good enough anti-malware features, but the person can always override.
Yeah, it's always like smishing or some type of,
Yeah, there's in some cases on like iOS, there is no override for some stuff. One app cannot touch another app stuff. Things are very well sandboxed there, which is the reason some people prefer Androids, because that level of security does make certain applications, certain features not possible on iOS.
Yeah, it does, and I've had Android devices since it was Motorola Droid, so before Google bought them, and I've just been in that ecosystem for so long that when I tried to use an iPhone, and the fact that it was not customizable to even like a tenth of the extent that you get so used to Androids, you're like, I can put widgets wherever I want. I can have as many screens as like it, and then you get on an iPhone and they're like, no, we're going to tell you how things are set up, how they work, and everything is safer that way. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's safer, but it's just not as fun.
It kind of rubs me the wrong way too. But that's where iMessage and FaceTime are, so that's the platform I'm stuck on. And that's another thing we're getting into here is, we're finally seeing at the enterprise level, coming to terms with the fact that, the personal smartphone in your product is part of your work identity, and companies depend on you having that. There's still, I know some people who carry a device for work and a device for personal, but for most of us, that's, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to deal with, and most people just use one. I can't really do that with my physical devices. Like I mentioned, Guillaume, he's really good about keeping work and personal separate, but I find it's just too much for me.
It's hard.
I do split up like within the browser different profiles, but I don't use separate devices for both.
Yeah, and the different profiles is not always easy to do. So like I have an iPad Pro, and the iPad version of Chrome, trying to use multiple device profiles there, like it won't open different instances of Chrome, so you're always having to do the like top right-hand corner account switching for Google, and it's difficult.
Arc makes it really easy and visible. You can see all your profiles all the time, and there's keyboard shortcuts to switch between those profiles. But the mobile version of it, I don't think it's as easy. So you still wouldn't be able to on your iPad. But user experience for that, and we talked about this somewhat. User experience for these different use cases, using an iPad, an iPhone, multiple people using the same thing, there's no one person that uses a streaming service within a family. Like that's, somebody has to end up being the admin, and could you remove this device? We're at the limit, the number of devices that can be on the account and streaming. Such a pain in the butt. Yeah,
we're currently in my house, so I have 3 kids and my husband, and we use voice recognition on all of our speakers, but we have like 8 different accounts. And so every now and then it'll start playing censored rap music, and I'm like, what the hell? And it's because it misrecognized their voice and loaded the kids' account on the speaker and started playing music, and theirs is locked down to only non-explicit music. We still have not really figured out this whole being realistic about identity, about shared accounts, about shared devices. So That was one of the things that excited me about what Badge was doing is like, can it just be me? And I can just prove it's me, and then I don't need passwords.
I think you're at that point where I started removing some of that content filtering for my kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing worse than what they hear me say. So.
Yeah, with the 13-year-old, Google actually does it for you when they turn 13.
Yeah.
There's like different restrictions that you don't have on their accounts anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I just let my kids watch their first episode of Trailer Park Boys, so
Yeah.
we're there.
Nice.
That was such an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Because my youngest daughter, we call her J-Rock. And so to get to show her the J-Rock from Trailer Park Boys that we actually nicknamed her after was amazing. So yes, we are past content filtering now, I think.
Apparently a train is leaving, so if you have a train to catch, it sounds like we're in a train station, making some announcements there.
Yeah.
The loudspeakers.
This is the full in-person conference experience that you are paying for this live stream for.
Yeah. So on the Trailer Park Boys note, I think it's a good point to wrap on.
Yeah, need a drinky poo?
Yeah, if you haven't checked that out, check that out for sure. Canadian humor, right?
Yeah, I love me some good Canadian humor, yes. Yeah.
All right, that's it for us for CyberRisk TV at Identiverse 2025. We do already have the dates up for Identiverse 2026. No, I do not have them right in front of me, so I can't tell you what those are. But if you're here at the event, it's plastered around in a few different places, and I'm sure if it's here at the event, it's probably in the website also. You can go to the Identiverse website and check that out, and go ahead and schedule it. If you're a vendor, I believe they are signing up people right now. You can pick your spots on the expo floor. So very much like RSA and all that. If you want the best spot or specific spot you want, this year's event is the time to sign up for next year's.
Yep.
For attendees, I don't know how much of this we live streamed online. I'm sure they recorded some of the talks. I didn't get to check out any of the keynotes, so I'm kind of interested. I interviewed some folks that gave keynotes, and I was here doing interviews, so I didn't get to see them. So I'm hoping I get to see some of those after the event. So keep an eye out for any content that we upload to our different YouTube channels for Identiverse content. And yeah. Any thoughts as we wrap up?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would say is that, to your point, don't be the vendor that gets caught like 6 months before the conference wondering why. So when we say that right now is a time to act for next year, being on the other side and having to plan that stuff, we really mean that. And it will make your life much easier. So I just want to double down on you really do have to start planning a year ahead for most security events.
Yep. All right, thanks for watching and listening. I think maybe the next event we're going to be doing this kind of stuff at might be Black Hat. Yeah, so we'll see you then. Yeah. Thanks for watching.